The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. It came through every satellite, every radio station, and every screen on Earth at the same time. The voice was cold and mechanical, translated into every human language within seconds. Species designation: human, homeworld, Earth. You have been identified by the Miron Collective. A representative will present themselves at the following coordinates within 30 standard rotations. Failure to comply will result in immediate pacification. The world went silent. Then it went mad. For 200 years, humanity had reached into the stars. They'd built colonies on Mars and mining stations in the asteroid belt. They had sent probes to distant worlds and dreamed of meeting other life. Now that dream had arrived, and it looked nothing like the friendly contact they had imagined. Intelligence agencies worked around the clock. Within days, they learned what they could about the Miran Collective. It was an alliance of 4 ancient species that had ruled the Orion sector for over 10,000 years. They had absorbed dozens of younger civilizations into their empire. Some served as workers. Some served as soldiers. None served as equals. The pattern was always the same. The Miran would find a young species, send their message, and wait for a representative. The negotiations were short. The younger species would accept their terms or face destruction. No one had ever chosen destruction. Earth's United Council gathered in emergency session. Presidents and prime ministers argued for days. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to run. Some wanted to surrender before a single shot was fired in the end. They agreed on one thing. They needed to send someone to talk. The question was, who? Kong Taesu was not a politician. He was not a general. He was not a scientist or a philosopher. He was a negotiator. For 20 years, he had worked in the darkest corners of human conflict. He had talked terrorists into releasing hostages. He had convinced warlords to lay down their weapons. He had sat across from murderers and made them confess their crimes. His record was perfect. He had never lost a negotiation, and he had never told a lie. This second fact made him unusual. Most negotiators used deception as a tool. They bluffed. They misled. They told people what they wanted to hear. Taesu did none of these things. He simply told the truth, and somehow, the truth was always enough. When the council contacted him, he was sitting alone in his apartment in Seoul, reading an old book about ancient wars. He listened to their offer without expression. They wanted him to represent all of humanity. They wanted him to face an alien empire and convince them not to destroy Earth. He asked only one question. What do we know about them? The council sent him everything. Reports from deep space probes. Intercepted communications. Analysis of their technology and military strength. Taesu read it all in 3 days. He did not sleep. He barely ate. He simply absorbed information like a sponge absorbs water. On the 4th day, he called the council back. I will go, he said. But I need one person with me, Dr. Yoon Hannah. Hannah was a xenolinguist, one of the few people on Earth who had dedicated her life to studying how alien species might communicate. She was young, barely 30, but her mind was sharp. More importantly, she understood something that most humans did not. Language was not just words. It was culture. It was history. It was fear and hope and everything in between. When Taesu met her at the launch facility, she looked nervous. Her hands trembled slightly as she checked her equipment. You are afraid, Taesu said. It was not a question. Of course I am, Hannah replied. We are about to meet an empire that has conquered dozens of species. They have technology we cannot understand. They have ships that could destroy our entire planet. How can I not be afraid? Taesu nodded slowly. Good. Fear is useful. It keeps us sharp. He paused. But I want you to remember something, Dr. Yoon. They sent us a message. They asked for a representative. They did not simply attack. What does that mean? It means they follow rules. They have traditions. And anyone who follows rules can be understood. Anyone who has traditions can be predicted. He looked at her with calm eyes. We are not going to beg. We are not going to threaten. We are going to make them understand what humanity truly is, and then they will decide if they want to face us. The ship that carried them was called the Horizon's Edge. It was not a warship. It was a diplomatic vessel, small and fast, designed for a single purpose: to reach the coordinates the Mirren had provided and return safely. Captain Park Daeho commanded it with quiet efficiency. He was a military man, but he understood that this mission required words, not weapons. The journey took 18 days. Taesu spent most of that time alone in his cabin reviewing data. Hannah spent her time studying the fragments of Mirren language they had captured. She learned that their words had no concept for certain human ideas. They had no word for rebellion, they had no word for suicide, they had no word for martyr. This told her something important. The Mirren had never faced an enemy willing to die for an idea. They had never met a species that would destroy itself rather than surrender. On the final night before arrival, Hannah brought her findings to Taesu. He listened carefully, his face revealing nothing. "There is something else," she said. "I looked at the records of every species they have conquered. Every single one shares a common trait." "What trait?" "None of them had ever experienced civil war. None of them had ever killed their own kind in large numbers. They were peaceful species, cooperative. They built their civilizations through unity, not conflict." Taesu was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a man who had just found the key to a locked door. "The Mirren are predators," he said. "But they are lazy predators. They hunt only easy prey. They have never faced a species like us." "What do you mean?" Taesu stood and walked to the window. Outside, the stars streamed past like rivers of light. Somewhere ahead, an alien empire waited to judge humanity. "We are not peaceful, Dr. Yoon. We have never been peaceful. We have spent our entire history killing each other. We have fought over land, over resources, over ideas, over nothing at all. We have built weapons that can burn entire cities in seconds. We have created poisons that can kill millions with a single drop." He turned to face her. "The Mirren think they are inviting a lamb to their table. They do not realize they have summoned a wolf." Hannah felt a chill run down her spine. "And what will you tell them?" "The truth," Taesu said simply. "Only the truth. That is all I have ever told anyone." He paused. "And the truth about humanity is the most terrifying thing in the universe." The Horizon's Edge flew on through the darkness, carrying its small crew toward an uncertain future. Behind them, Earth waited in silence. Billions of people held their breath, wondering if they would ever see their representative again. They did not know that Kong Taesu had no intention of dying. He had studied the Mirren. He had found their weakness, and he was about to show them something they had never seen before. He was about to show them fear, the Mirren. Capital Station was larger than anything Taesu had ever seen. It hung in space, like a metal moon, orbiting a dying red star. Lights covered its surface like glowing veins, and ships moved around it in endless patterns, coming and going like insects around a hive. Captain Daeho brought the Horizon's Edge into the designated docking area. Through the windows, Taesu could see dozens of alien vessels. Some were sleek and silver, some were massive and covered in weapons. All of them were larger than the small human ship. "They want us to feel small," Hannah said quietly. She stood beside Taesu, watching the station grow larger and larger. "Yes." Taesu agreed. "This is their first move. They show us their power before we even step inside. They want us afraid before we speak a single word."
"Is it working?"
Taesu considered the question. "No," he said finally. "I have seen worse." The docking process was smooth. A tube connected to their ship, and a voice instructed them to proceed to the welcoming hall. Taesu adjusted his simple black suit and nodded to Hannah. She carried a small device that would help translate any language they encountered. Captain Daeho stayed with the ship. Before Taesu left, the captain gripped his arm. "Bring us home," Daeho said. "All of Earth is watching." "I know," Taesu replied, "and so are they." The welcoming hall was designed to intimidate. The ceiling rose so high that it disappeared into shadow. The walls were covered with images of conquered worlds, their names written in alien script beneath pictures of burning cities and kneeling populations. Statues of Marin leaders lined the path, each one larger than the last. Tesu walked past all of it without slowing down. Hannah struggled to keep up with him. Her eyes moved constantly, taking in every detail. But Tesu kept his gaze forward. He would not give them the satisfaction of seeing him impressed. At the end of the hall, a group of aliens waited. They were tall, nearly 3 meters, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were large and black, set deep in narrow faces. They wore robes of dark blue, decorated with symbols of rank and honor. The largest of them stepped forward. His voice was deep and resonant, translated instantly by the devices in the room. "I am High Arbiter Velos. I speak for the Moran Collective." He looked down at Tesu with obvious disdain. "You are the representative of the species called human." "I am Kong Tesu. I speak for Earth." "Earth." Velos said the word like it tasted bad. "A small world. A young species. You have only been traveling among the stars for 2 of your centuries. We have ruled this sector for 10,000 years. I am aware of your history," Tesu said calmly. "Then you understand your position." Velos gestured to the images on the walls. "Every species you see here once stood where you stand now. They were proud. They believed they were special. They learned otherwise." Tesu did not respond. He simply waited. Velos continued. "The collective has studied your kind. You are weak. Your bodies are fragile. Your technology is primitive. Your fleet numbers only 200 vessels. We have 10,000. He paused, letting the number sink in. "You have nothing that interests us, except your labor and your obedience." The other aliens in the room made sounds that Hannah recognized as laughter. They were mocking humanity, mocking Earth, mocking Tesu himself. Still, he did not react. "We offer you mercy," Velos said. "Join the collective willingly, and your people will be treated fairly. You will work in our factories and our mines. You will serve in our households. In return, you will receive protection from the dangers of the galaxy." He spread all 4 arms wide. "This is generous. Previous species have received far worse." "I understand," Tesu said. His voice was quiet but clear. "Before I respond to your offer, I have a question." Velos looked surprised. Representatives did not usually ask questions. They begged. They bargained. They surrendered. "Ask, then." Tesu looked around the room slowly, meeting the eyes of every alien present. Then he spoke. "How many of your kind have ever killed one of their own?" The room went silent. The laughter stopped. Velos stared at Tesu with an expression Hannah could not read. "What did you say?" the High Arbiter asked. "It is a simple question," Tesu replied. "In your entire history, across all 4 species of the collective, how many individuals have killed a member of their own kind? Not in war against outsiders, not in conquest. I mean one Marin killing another Marin, one of you killing one of you." Velos did not answer immediately. His large black eyes blinked slowly. "We are not savages," he finally said. "We do not murder our own kind. Such things do not happen among civilized species." "Never?" Tesu pressed. "In 10,000 years of history, there have been incidents, rare aberrations, mental illness. Such individuals are removed from society." Velos's voice had grown cold. "Why do you ask this?" Tesu nodded slowly, as if the answer confirmed something he already knew. "I ask because I wanted to understand you. And now I do. You understand nothing, human. I understand that you have never truly known fear." Tesu's voice did not rise, but somehow it filled the room. "You have conquered species that were weaker than you, species that did not know violence, species that surrendered because they could not imagine fighting back." He paused. "But you have never faced a species like mine." Velos leaned forward, his forearms crossing in what Hannah recognized as a gesture of challenge. "And what makes your species different?" "We kill each other," Tesu said simply. "We have always killed each other. Not as aberrations, not as rare incidents. We kill each other by the millions. We build weapons specifically designed to murder our own kind. We have destroyed entire cities, entire nations, entire generations of our own people. He took a step forward. Velos, despite being twice his height, did not move. You ask why I asked my question, Tesu continued. I asked because I wanted to know if you would understand what I am about to tell you. And now I know that you will not. You cannot. You have no framework for what humanity is. You were trying to frighten us, Velos said. But his voice had lost some of its confidence. No, Tesu replied. I am trying to prepare you. Tomorrow, when the formal negotiations begin, I will show you the truth about my species. I will show you what we are capable of. And then you will decide if you truly want to make us your enemy. He turned and began walking back toward the docking area. Hannah hurried after him, her heart pounding behind them. Velos called out, You are arrogant for such a small creature. Tesu stopped. He did not turn around. Hi, Arbiter, he said quietly. I am the most peaceful human you will ever meet. I have dedicated my life to preventing violence. I have never raised my hand against another person. He paused. And yet I have seen things that would break your mind. I have witnessed horrors that your species cannot imagine. Not because we are evil, but because we are human, he continued walking. Sleep well tonight, he added. Tomorrow, you will learn what fear really means. The doors closed behind him. In the welcoming hall, the representatives of the Miron Collective stood in silence. For the first time in 10,000 years, they were not sure what to do, and somewhere in the back of his ancient mind, Elder Oris felt a cold sensation. He had not experienced it in 3,000 years. He felt doubt. The negotiation chamber was circular, with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. Representatives from all 4 species of the collective filled the seats, along with observers from a dozen vassal races. Hundreds of eyes watched as Kong Tesu walked to the center of the room. He was alone. Hannah waited outside with Captain Deho, monitoring the proceedings through a hidden device. This was Tesu's moment. This was what he had prepared for his entire life. High Arbiter Velos sat in the highest seat, looking down at the small human figure below. The night had not been kind to him. He had not slept well, and he could not explain why. We will now hear the terms of integration, Velos announced. The human representative will listen and accept. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth, small and blue, surrounded by the vastness of space. Then it showed the Miron fleet, endless rows of warships that could darken the skies of any world. Humanity will surrender all military vessels, Velos read from the traditional terms. Humanity will provide 30% of its population as labor for collective projects. Humanity will accept Marin governors on their homeworld. Humanity will provide tribute in the form of resources and technology. In exchange, humanity will receive the protection of the collective. He looked down at Tesu. These are the terms. You may speak. Tesu stood very still. When he spoke, his voice was calm and measured. I have heard your terms. Before I respond, I ask permission to share cultural context. The collective knows very little about humanity. I believe this information will help you understand our response. Velos considered this. It was an unusual request, but not unreasonable. You may proceed. You have 1 hour. I need only 30 minutes. Tesu raised his hand, and the holographic display changed. Earth disappeared. In its place appeared a simple title, A Brief History of Human Violence. What you are about to see is real, Tesu said. These are not simulations. These are not exaggerations. These are records of events that actually happened on our world. I show them not with pride, but with honesty. You wish to know what humanity is. I will show you. The first image appeared. It was a battlefield from the First World War. Bodies lay in trenches that stretched to the horizon. Soldiers in primitive uniforms charged across open ground, falling by the thousands to machine gun fire. This was called the Great War, Tesu explained. It began over the assassination of one man. Before it ended, 17 million humans were dead. Not from disease. Not from natural disaster. We killed each other. The images changed. Tanks rolled across burning cities. Aircraft dropped bombs that turned neighborhoods to rubble. Ships sank in freezing waters while sailors drowned. The Mirren watched in silence. Some of them had stopped breathing. 20 years later, we did it again, Taesu continued. The Second World War killed 70 million of our own kind. We invented new ways to kill. We built factories whose only purpose was to murder people. Entire populations were erased. The display showed concentration camps, mass graves, cities reduced to ash, a mushroom cloud rising over a Japanese city. This is what happened when we split the atom, Taesu said. In a single moment, 100,000 people died. We called it a bomb. We built thousands more. We aimed them at each other. Paused, letting the images speak for themselves. The representatives of the collective sat frozen in their seats. Some had closed their eyes. Others could not look away. You might think these were isolated events, Taesu continued. They were not. Throughout our history, we have killed each other constantly. We have fought over territory, over religion, over political ideas, over resources. Sometimes we have killed simply because one group looked different from another. The display showed genocide after genocide. Rwanda, Cambodia, Armenia. The names meant nothing to the Mirren, but the images were universal. Bodies in rivers. Children holding weapons. Entire villages erased from existence. We estimate that in the last century alone, humans killed 200 million other humans. Not aliens. Not enemies from another world. Our own species. Our own brothers and sisters. Taesu looked up at the silent chamber. And here's what I want you to understand. We did not stop because we learned peace. We did not stop because we became civilized. We stopped because we realized we had built weapons powerful enough to destroy our entire world. For 70 years, we lived with nuclear missiles pointed at our own cities. Every human alive knew that any day could be the last. Any moment someone could press a button, and everything would end. He walked slowly around the platform, making eye contact with as many representatives as he could. We call this period the Cold War. And during this time, something strange happened. We began to cooperate. Not because we wanted to, because we had to. We learned to live with fear as a constant companion. Fear of each other. Fear of ourselves. Fear of what we might do if pushed too far. The display changed one final time. It showed Earth as it was now. Cities of glass and steel. Spaceships rising from launch pads. Humanity reaching for the stars. This is what we built from the ashes of our violence. We did not become peaceful. We became careful. We learned to channel our aggression into competition, into exploration, into creation. But make no mistake, the capacity for destruction still lives in every human heart. We have not evolved past it. We have only learned to control it. Taesu stopped in the center of the platform. You offer us terms of surrender. You tell us to give up our ships, our freedom, our dignity. You expect us to kneel because your fleet is larger than ours. He shook his head slowly. You do not understand what you are asking. His voice grew quieter, but somehow more intense. We are a species that burned our own cities rather than let enemies take them. We have soldiers who threw themselves onto explosives to save their friends. We have pilots who flew their planes into enemy ships when they ran out of ammunition. We have mothers who killed their own children rather than let them be captured. The chamber was absolutely silent. You think we will surrender because we are outnumbered? We have been outnumbered in every war we have ever fought against ourselves. We did not surrender then. We died, and we took our enemies with us. Taesu looked directly at High Arbiter Velos. You have 10,000 ships? We have 200. If you attack Earth, you will win. Eventually, but I promise you this. Every human will fight. Every city will resist. Every child will learn to hold a weapon. We will burn our own world before we let you take it. And when the war is over, when you stand in the ashes of our civilization, you will count your dead. You will count them for years. And you will wonder if it was worth it. He paused. That is the truth about humanity. We are not brave. We are not noble. We are not special. We are simply too stubborn and too violent to know when to quit. We have survived this long not because we are better than other species, but because we are willing to do things that better species would never consider. Tesu took a deep breath. So here's my response to your terms. No, we will not surrender. We will not kneel. We will not serve. And if you force us to fight, we will show you horrors that make these images look like children's games. He lowered his hands. I am finished. You may decide what happens next. The chamber remained silent for a very long time. No one moved. No one spoke. The representatives of the Miron Collective, rulers of a sector of space for 10,000 years, sat in their seats and tried to process what they had just witnessed. Elder Orus was the first to move. The ancient counselor rose from his seat and walked slowly toward the exit. His movements were shaky, uncertain. Another counselor called after him, but he did not respond. High Arbiter Velos stared at Tesu with eyes that held something new, something he had never felt toward a lesser species, respect and fear. The council chamber erupted into chaos the moment Tesu left. Representatives shouted over each other in languages that had not been raised in anger for centuries. Commander Thalas, the military leader of the Marin fleet, pushed his way to the central platform. This is an insult, he roared. A primitive species dares to threaten the collective. We should destroy them immediately. Send the fleet now, before they can prepare. Several representatives voiced agreement. The display of human violence had shocked them, yes. But shock was turning to anger. How dared this small creature stand before them and speak of war? The Marin had never lost. They would not lose now. High Arbiter Velos raised his hand for silence. Slowly, the chamber quieted. Commander Thalas speaks from strength, Velos, said carefully. And strength has served the collective well. But I would hear from Elder Orus before we decide. All eyes turned to the ancient counselor. Orus had returned to his seat. But he looked different somehow, smaller, older. His gray skin had taken on a pale shade that worried those who knew him. Elder Orus Velos prompted. You have witnessed more than any of us. What do you say? Orus was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper, but the chamber was so quiet that everyone heard every word. I remember the Velith. The name sent a ripple through the chamber. The Velith were ancient history, a species that had been absorbed into the collective over 3,000 years ago. Most representatives knew them only as a footnote, a minor addition to the Empire's long list of conquests. The Velith were not like other species, Aris continued. They were smaller than us. Weaker than us? They had only 12 colony worlds and a fleet of perhaps 500 ships. When we offered them terms, they refused. And we crushed them, Commander Thalas interrupted. As we will crush these humans, we did not crush them. Orus's voice gained sudden strength. We fought them. For 400 years, we fought them. They did not surrender when we destroyed their homeworld. They did not surrender when we killed 90% of their population. They fought from asteroids. They fought from hidden bases. They attacked our supply lines. They assassinated our leaders. They turned our own weapons against us. The chamber had gone very still. When the war finally ended, the Velith were gone. But so were 2/3 of our fleet. So were 3 generations of our warriors. So were resources that took us 8 centuries to replace. Orus looked around the room. We won. But we nearly destroyed ourselves in the process. Commander Thalas stepped forward. The Velith were a unique case. The humans are not the same. You are right, Orus said. The humans are not the same. They are worse. He pointed toward the empty platform where Tesu had stood. Did you not hear what he said? Did you not see what he showed us? The Velith had never known internal war. They learned to fight us out of desperation. These humans have been fighting each other for their entire existence. War is not something they learned. It is what they are. Then we destroy them quickly, Thalas insisted. We do not give them time to prepare. We do not fight a long war. We arrive with overwhelming force and end it in a single blow. Orus shook his head slowly. You still do not understand. The humans said they would burn their own world rather than surrender it. Do you think he was lying? I looked into his eyes, Commander. He was not lying. He was not bluffing. He was simply telling us what his species would do. Then let them burn, Thalas shouted. What do we care if they destroy themselves? Because they will not destroy only themselves, Oris's voice dropped low. They will destroy as much of our fleet as they can. They will take as many of us with them as possible, and their example will spread. This last word hung in the air like poison. What do you mean? Velos asked. Oris turned to face the High Arbiter. We rule 37 vassal species. Most of them have served us for thousands of years without complaint. But they watch us. They watch how we treat new additions to the collective. They watch how we handle resistance. He paused. If we attack the humans and they fight back, our vassals will see it. They will see us bleed. They will see us lose ships and soldiers. And some of them will begin to wonder. Wonder what? They will wonder if they could do the same thing. Oris's voice was heavy with a terrible knowledge. The humans did not just threaten us with their own resistance. They showed us what resistance looks like. They showed us that a species can be small and weak and still hurt a larger enemy. If our vassals see this, if they learn this lesson, the collective will face something far worse than a single rebellious species. The chamber fell into complete silence. For the first time, the representatives of the Myron collective understood the true danger of the situation. It was not about Earth. It was about the Empire. Hours later, Tesu received a message. High Arbiter, Velos wished to meet with him privately. No witnesses. No recordings. Just two individuals talking, Tesu agreed. They met in a small room overlooking the dying star. Velos stood by the window, all four arms clasped behind his back. He did not turn when Tesu entered. You are not what I expected, Velos said finally. What did you expect? Fear, desperation, bargaining. Velos turned to face him. You showed none of these things. Instead, you showed us our own fear reflected back at us. I showed you the truth, Tesu said. Nothing more. The truth is a weapon. You wielded it well. Velos studied the small human with new eyes. I have led the collective for 200 years. In that time, I have seen dozens of species join us. Some came willingly. Some had to be convinced. But none of them ever made me doubt. And now? Now I am not sure what to do. Velos moved to a seat and lowered himself into it. For a moment, he looked tired, old, uncertain. Commander Thalas wants war. Many on the council agree with him. They believe we can crush you quickly and use your destruction as an example. They are wrong, I know. Velos met Tesu's eyes. Elder Oris remembers the Velith. I did not. I was not yet born when that war ended. But I have studied it. I know what it cost us. Paused. You said you never lie. Was everything you showed us true? Every image? Every number. Yes. Then humanity is insane. Perhaps. Tesu sat across from the High Arbiter. But our insanity has kept us alive. It has driven us to explore, to create, to survive against impossible odds. We did not become the dominant species on our planet because we were peaceful. We became dominant because we were the most dangerous thing on it. Velos was silent for a moment. Then he asked, What do you want? I want my people to remain free. If we cannot give you that. If the council votes for war. Tesu reached into his jacket and pulled out a small data device. He placed it on the table between them. What is this? Velos asked. Insurance? Tesu's voice was calm. Before I left Earth, our intelligence services gathered information on your vassal species. Communications, secret meetings, hidden dissent. It seems that not all of your subjects are as loyal as you believe. Velos's eyes widened. Several vassal species have already contacted us, Tesu continued. They wanted to know if humanity would help them resist if war came. We told them we would consider it. You are bluffing. I never bluff, High Arbiter. I thought I made that clear. Ixu leaned forward. If you attack Earth, we will fight. We will lose eventually. But before we fall, We will send everything we know to every vassal species in your empire. We will teach them how to resist. We will show them that the Mirren can be hurt. And then you will face not one enemy, but 37. Velos stared at the data device, as if it were a venomous creature. You have built an empire on obedience, Tesu said softly. But obedience is fragile. It only lasts as long as your subjects believe you are invincible. The moment they see you bleed, the moment they see you struggle, that belief dies. And empires built on obedience do not survive the death of that belief. He stood up. I am not asking you to fear us, High Arbiter. I am asking you to think. A war with humanity will not just cost you ships and soldiers. It will cost you your empire. Everything your species has built over 10,000 years, gone in a single generation. Tesu walked to the door. You have until tomorrow to decide? I hope you make the right choice. He left Velos alone in the room, staring out at the dying star, holding a small device that could destroy everything he had ever known. For the first time in his long life, the High Arbiter of the Mirren Collective understood what it meant to be afraid. The council reconvened at dawn. As the dying star cast its red light across the station, every seat was filled. Representatives who had not attended a council meeting in decades had come to witness this moment. History was being written. Everyone wanted to see it. Kong Tesu stood alone on the central platform just as he had the day before. His face showed nothing. His hands were steady at his sides. If he felt any fear, any doubt, any uncertainty, he hid it completely. High Arbiter Velos rose from his seat. The chamber fell silent immediately. We have deliberated through the night, Velos announced. His voice was formal, measured, giving nothing away. We have considered the information presented by the human representative. We have debated the costs and benefits of various courses of action. Commander Thalos sat rigid in his seat, his forearms crossed in a gesture of barely contained anger. He had argued for war until his voice gave out. He had demanded that the collective show strength, show power, show the galaxy that no species could threaten them and survive. He had lost. The Mirren Collective has reached a decision, Velos continued. Regarding the species known as humanity and their homeworld known as Earth, every being in the chamber held their breath. There will be no integration. Velos let the words hang in the air. Humanity will not join the collective. Earth will remain independent. A wave of shocked murmurs swept through the chamber. This had never happened before. In 10,000 years, no species had ever refused the collective and survived. No species had ever walked away free. Velos raised his hand for silence. Furthermore, the collective will enter into a treaty of non-aggression with humanity. Neither side will attack the other. Trade and cultural exchange will be permitted under conditions to be negotiated by designated representatives. He paused. This decision is final. Commander Thalos shot to his feet. This is cowardice. We are showing weakness to a primitive species. Our vassals will see this. They will think we are afraid. We are afraid, Commander. Thalos's voice was sharp enough to cut steel. And we should be. We have never faced a species like this one. We have never encountered a civilization built on violence against itself. The humans are not bluffing when they say they will fight to extinction. They have nearly done it before, to their own kind. Thalos opened his mouth to respond, but Elder Oris stood up slowly. The ancient counselor's presence commanded immediate respect. Even Thalos fell silent. Commander Oris said, I have lived for over 3,000 years. I have seen the collective grow from 4 worlds to 4,000. I have witnessed victories that should have been impossible and losses that should have never happened. He looked at Tesu with something like wonder. In all that time, I have never seen anything like this human. He came to us alone. He faced our entire council without fear. He told us truths about his species that should have made him ashamed. And he did it all without raising his voice. Oris walked slowly down toward the platform, his ancient body moving with careful dignity. The humans are not our enemies, he continued. Not yet. If we make them our enemies, we will win eventually. But we will pay a price that will echo through centuries. Our vassals will see us bleed. They will learn that resistance is possible. and one day they will use those lessons against us. He stopped in front of Tesu and looked down at the small human. You came here to negotiate. You brought no weapons. You brought no army. You brought only words and truth. Oris's voice softened. And with words and truth, you defeated an empire. Tesu met the elder's gaze. I did not come to defeat you. I came to make you understand, and we do. Now, Oris turned back to the council. This is the right decision. History will show that we were wise, not weak. We recognized a threat and chose peace instead of war. There is no shame in that. The chamber slowly settled. The murmurs died down. One by one, the representatives nodded their acceptance. Even Commander Thalos, though his expression remained bitter, did not speak again. Then it is done, Velos announced. The human representative may return to his world. We will send diplomatic teams to discuss the details of the treaty. He looked at Tesu with an expression that was hard to read. You have one human. I hope you understand the burden you now carry. Tesu bowed slightly. I understand. He turned and walked toward the exit. The representatives of 37 vassal species watched him pass. Some looked at him with fear. Some looked with something closer to hope. All of them would remember this day for the rest of their lives. At the door, Elder Oris caught up with him. Wait, the ancient alien said. I must ask you something. Sue stopped. Ask. Everything you told us. Everything you showed us. The willingness to destroy yourselves rather than submit. The capacity for violence beyond anything we have seen. Oris's voice dropped low. Was any of it a bluff? Any of it at all? Tesu considered the question carefully. My species built weapons capable of ending all life on our planet, he said finally. We pointed them at each other for 70 years. We went to sleep every night knowing we might not wake up. We raised our children in the shadow of total destruction. And we did it because we refused to live on our knees. He met Oris's eyes. It was never a bluff. Oris stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he stepped aside. Go home, Kong Tesu. Tell your people that they are free. But also tell them this. The galaxy is watching now. Other species know of you. Other empires will hear of what happened here. Some will be curious. Some will be afraid. And some will want to test whether your threats are real.